Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. And with us today, I mean, it's right after Labor Day, and bam, he's hit us with big important news, game-changing news, apparently significant news. Bernard Tourillon, CEO, HPQ Silicon, trades in Canada under HPQ, and for our friends in the US under HPQFF. For those new to the story, 30-second intro. The company's a Canadian producer, building a portfolio of unique, high-value specialty silicon products that can be needed for the renewable energy revolution. They're doing this through two innovative reactors that essentially permit the one-step transformation of quartz into a high-purity silicon and specialty silicon products that significantly reduce costs, energy uses, and carbon footprint. More than just lip service, they've already received their first order for spherical nano silicon material from a major automobile manufacturer. They've signed an NDA and received a request for 4N silicon material from a world-leading high-performance materials company, and a number of NDAs with at least two battery players. Bernard, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks, George. You know what? I can't wait for the intro to start. The QR has started and they've produced 4NSI. I'm going to make you shrink that intro just that. That's my only focus.
I've already shrunk it down. So, but if you're going to help me shrink it down even more, all the better. Hopefully you had a great summer.
Yep.
Here it is.
I wasn't on vacation like you continuously. You know, when I try to call you, it's like I'm in the middle of a mountain somewhere.
I was in the mountains, and then I was at the beach. I definitely need a little bit of time, but this is why, right? Because we're right back at it. Here's the headline today. HPQ Silicon PureVap pilot plant testing enters Reactor startup phase. And you've called this a significant milestone for all of us at home who have not gone through state-of-the-art, game-changing, first of its kind reactor technology. What does this mean? What's the importance of today's news?
We're one step closer to making this 4N silicon. That's really what it means. As you said, you know, this is my first time participating in a startup of a massive system. It's not Paro's first time. So there's a lot of steps to reach that point, which is sort of like a massive funnel. So you start with so many steps that are like moving in parallel, so everything looks like it's moving forward. As you get closer to the end, it's 1, 2, 3 steps left. You can smell that you're there, but you're not there. You know, it's something that's so freaking binary. Like it's the day before you're not, the day after you are. So from the beginning of this phase when we starting it, because you know it sounded more confusing than everything else, I decided to break it down into 4 easy to recognize steps. One of them, when we finish making sure that all the system, we call the system integration, is completed. It's a very complex machine. Okay, there must be a few kilometers of wires from everywhere else. Everything is computer controlled. Right, every valve is computer controlled for the very simplistic reason. The temperature is going to be around 200 degrees centigrade around at the outside of the machine. So, you know, you can't ask, you know, George, go move that valve. So because of all those things, everything has to be, you know, computer controlled, computer design, all these issues, how we deal with the hot gases that comes out of it, how we process them. Luckily, you know, pyrogenesis, that's not something they're too worried about. Hot processes, they're not really worried about. High temperature, you know, as Peter just called it, they're the Tesla of high temperature process.
Yeah.
But there's an additional kink into what HPQ is doing, is we're doing all that under vacuum. So we have the 2 most demanding engineering tasks being done at the same time. Now, if this was HPQ / Bernard Silicon that, you know, did the engineering in-house and everything else, I would understand why people would get worried about it. But it's pyrogenesis, okay? They've done as complex a task, even more complex, in position where at those times they were not the FUDs because they were doing contract for the military, but they were their big outside consultant, because Peter told me the story. We're telling the Navy, you're crazy. They're never going to be able to build those waste destruction system on an aircraft carrier with plasma. It's never going to work. Okay, so these guys have gone through the ringers of doing this. Okay, so if they tell me this is what it takes, it's just Me, I'm just a little kid in behind says, are we there yet? Are we there yet? That's all what it is.
But
But
it seems like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
Oh, yeah.
Especially as we talk a little bit about the
or at the arc at the
schedule.
bottom of the arc at the bottom of the electrode. I can see that coming.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe that's the way to frame it. Let's talk about that. So the R&D, one sub paragraph, R&D testing program advancing on schedule. So you've allocated 1 month of the reactor startup.
Okay, let's be very clear. It's 1 month. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get the air quotes there? The reason by, if that month is 37 days, it's not a big issue.
Right,
If that month is 24 days, it's not a big issue. It's irrelevant. Okay. We've allocated some times to deal with unknown that may or may not occur. We don't know. So I hate, and I've learned this from experience. Okay. I don't want to give timelines because of what we do is impossible to have timelines. I think we had this discussion. Have you seen the latest picture from NASA's Hubble? No, the James Webb. James Webb, okay? Everybody's excited about them. Do people now go back and talk about it? Oh, that project was 6 years, 7 years behind schedule, okay? Or they talk about, wow, the incredible achievement that what it's doing, okay? That's my goal, is just to get that machine started, which is going to start the ball rolling for all the other things that we're working on, because it is the central block of one of the things we're building. Just like about a year from now, it'll be the fume silica will be a central block of the business we're developing, just like as we do other work for batteries. So I try not to give precise, exactly, to the day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 17th day of the third moon, something is going to happen, because it's impossible.
No,
Yeah,
but you give us.
but if you don't put it,
yardsticks, right? So we have.
I give.
You have an idea. It's about a month, not about a year. That's important.
It's not about a month. It's not about a year. We can really spell this, because the next step, you should read it out of the press release. The next step is, we're starting the process improvement test, right?
Yeah. So I was going to present 4 process. What does that mean? 4 process improvement tests, duration of about 2 months, approximately 2 months. Okay. What does that mean?
A big smelter, okay? You don't turn on and off a smelter on demand. That's why when you smart a smelter in the industry, okay, you try never to stop the machine. Okay. So we have scheduled process tests where we will be starting and stopping the machine. So everything has to be calculated and done into it. But we will be feeding material into the machine, and we will be producing material. But I don't think nobody in the team expect that on the first run we do, okay, we will get 90% efficiency 4N. We might, we don't know, but better to plan it. So we're giving ourselves, do we need to tweak this? Do we need to tweak that? Because we've tested.
So you're allocating 4 process improvement tests. So you're almost going to run through it 4 times in layman's.
Well, we're going to go through the process of starting it and stopping it, but just to get the machine started, okay, to bringing up to the correct operating temperature, it takes about 2 days. That it's not a small machine. It's probably one of the biggest test pilots in the silicone industry. And
so if everything goes well, and that does mean perfect, because there are going to be little hiccups. Some places are going to be faster, some places are going to be slower. But if everything goes well, and that ballpark, give or take, 3 months goes by, it looks like, because I saw it online too, you see some investors saying, "Are we going to have a nice Christmas present? Are we going to have a nice delivery just before?" And what will it mean when you get through these phases? What position will you be in at that point?
Okay, if you read after the 4 process improvement tests, okay, the goal is to operate the machine 24/7 for a long enough period of time for us to get all the data we need to be able to scale it up to commercial scale. In the meantime, while we do this, we will be producing material. And as I wrote in the press release, maybe people didn't pick up on it. It's on the presentation too. Okay, we will be taking that silicone material. We will be sending it to outsource subcontractor that we've sort of identified, some in Europe, somewhere elsewhere, which they will be then taking the material and that foreign material and microsizing it on the micron size for the silicon nitrate and for battery material for testing. And we'll have plenty of material. And we will also have our own material for our nanotechnology development and all those issues. So we've decided to complete everything centered around these things. So from the first process improvement test, we should start to have enough materials to start doing some additional work up to add value to the material that we're doing. Okay. So by the time we get the plant operating 6 months, we will have ideas of multiple business development strategy we can implement to commercialize the PureVap QRR technology.
In the meantime, are some of those ideas starting to come to you already? Because talk in the industry, or maybe I've asked you this before, is the phone ring a little bit more, conversations, more interest being shown? We know that we've got the global auto manufacturer who's, are you talking to them? It'd be good to, can you give us kind of a status report on that, and how those discussions with the announced people are going, and what kind of discussions may be going on about the growing pipeline of interest, not pipeline in terms of sales number like PowerGenesis, but the growing pipeline of interest.
For the battery size, once we start producing the first material, then we'll have much more discussion. We'll do our own tests. We'll get material. We'll get value. We'll get something tangible to give it away. But what's happening, what's mind-numbing in a macroeconomic sense, okay, in the big picture, is how the QRR is coming online at the most appropriate time. There is a massive recognition in North America and in Europe that it's not acceptable that 90% of battery materials is made in China. It's not acceptable that 100% of the solar material is made in China. It's not acceptable that the electronic silicone manufacturers for chips is manufactured in China. Okay, that's just a reality. The people have woken up to it, and there's billions of dollars sent into it. Now, this will all require reshoring, repatriating of the process. At the center of all these processes, okay, is the preliminary manufacturing of silicone, metallurgical grade silicone, the 2N silicone, the material needed. Okay. And as just been told, one of the top experts that I work with has told me the most complex technology part is making the silicone that we're doing. There is a limited number of people with expertise making silicone. Very, very limited number. Because most of them that discovered this were many years ago in big companies that are closed. So during the offshoring, there was a loss of massive knowledge, all right? Since 2015 to now, with PowerGenesis, we have been rebuilding that expertise within PowerGenesis. Since 2017 to 2021, we had the assistant of the guys from Apollon to keep that moving. And I believe from 2022, we will also, HPQ will become one of those center of knowledge where people come and talk to us about this and ask us how we can repatriate using the QRR. What I can tell you is I'm getting multinational approach in this regard. So when I said that we were visionary by accident 5 years ago, or 2015, which is now 7 years ago, okay, it's really coming to fruition.
Would it be accurate to say, Bernard, that you're not really going to be reshoring? In fact, what you're doing is just creating a brand new process altogether?
Well, we're reshoring in the sense, what it is we're stepping up a few notches, okay? The manufacturing of silicone, making it much more palatable to the industry right now, okay? And our process is to make it so green that we will also have the greenest silicone into it. I can't get into all the details of all the things we're working on. So one of the great advantage of our QRR processes is scalability. Okay, we've already discussed this in previous press release. We've talked a lot about this concept, is that from 2 reactors combined, okay, we equal pretty close to the capex per kilogram required per capacity. Now, if you want to enter the silicone industry right now using traditional processes, you need to build a 30 to 60,000 metric ton a year plant. You need to be able to source the energy for that. Has to be green energy. If you use carbon footprint is going to be bad. We're 2,500 metric tons multiplied by sector. Already right there, our energy footprint overall, although our energy footprint is a bit bigger per kilogram, our energy footprint of our plant is going to be smaller, which means we can position ourselves close to green energy to make that material, which will make our product greener. And I've been approached by some people asking those type of questions, multiple areas. I'm not following too much on those rabbit hole at this moment because my focus, as I said, is just getting the QRR going, setting up a lot of things that occurred since, last time we spoke, we were a mining company. Now we're a technology company. And all that comes into play.
And I want to go back to what you said at the beginning of that. I didn't want to interrupt, but you're having discussions with multinationals now. Your conversation.
I'm having this. I'm involved, aware of discussion at high political level in different sphere. Okay, where what we are bringing about is a solution that they're looking for. You have to realize, okay, in North America, Quebec, Canada, the US, silicone is not seen as a strategic material. Okay. In Europe, it is. In Australia, it is. The important and the vision behind that material completely changes there.
Would it be fair to say that the 90% of market control that comes out of China, HPQ's got a chance to make that almost obsolete? I mean, you're never going to make an industry go or a process go away, but
what HPQ will be able to do is to focus on the high value added part of that industry. Okay. China and all the traditional producer needs those high value added product just to make their entire process economical. We, on the other hand, can just focus on high value project. I've read an internal report from a big global silicone player, and they actually wrote it. So, we know of this great niche market, which is 3,000 metric ton per year, okay, which would sell for about, 10 times the price that we're selling it right now. But it will have no effect on our bottom line of a big billion-dollar company. Well, those are the type of market I want to go after. Because they go from 3,000, 6,000, they'll never be able to catch up with us.
The way you're talking is with a different level of confidence. I mean, you've increasingly become more and more confident. Investors have picked that up. A lot more smiles, and they pick up your body language but today seems like even more confident. So is that because you can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel, or the way you phrased it earlier, and you're
the arc
not
at the bottom
as worried? Like, are you almost done worrying about de-risking and making sure you're gonna, like, are you almost done? Because some people online will will talk FUD, right? And that you're not going to get there, but that's people online. We're talking the horse's mouth. Is it fair to say that you're short of something really unexpected. This is what it seems like. So I'm asking the question, short of something really unexpected happening, you're going to get there.
Well, yeah. Yes, but it's also because we're executing our business plan. We may not have communicated all the nicks and crannies of what our business plan is because we can't. Either for regulatory purposes or for competitive purposes or for legal purposes, we can't. But we're exactly executing on that. People didn't put too much attention, but the change of business from a technology company, from a mining company and technology company, was a big milestone. Especially since we were able to.
By the way, some people at home might think, well, it's just, handing in a different form and you just change from one. It's not. You and I both know. Maybe you want to explain it a little bit to people that it is an incredible process on the TSX Venture Exchange.
On the TSX Venture, okay, it is equivalent to filing a new listing. It is usually always done through a change of business where the stock is halted while the new entity meets all the requirements under which it lists. Now, we were able to do this seamlessly. We didn't stop trading, okay? We reach our goal. We've done this. We've become a tier one technology company. And it was done seamlessly without people noticing. But behind the scene, the small staff at HPQ, because we're not a big staff, we worked a heck of a lot on this. It didn't look too much marketing wise. During that time, Pyro was doing what they had to do for the plant, but that's what we did. My confidence is more it's the division that we had is really coming to fruition. Because when we started this, it was really like, when we were starting this, is if we don't make 6 cents, are we going to be able to have a business plan? And as more I learn about the industry, the more I thought, we do have a good business plan. And as more as it come into it, it says not only do we have a great business plan, it looks very exciting because the battery space came into it. But people have to realize that the battery space is just still a big R&D tool business for everybody. That's why there's, I think the number, I guess there's 1,500 new patent deposit on silicone usage into the material, right? I wouldn't want to be just a silicone guy into it. Originally, when we started the Nano SR, we said, oh, well, we could probably build a business plan just, converting silicone, we'll buy it. And then the price of silicone went through the roof and that model completely died. So then everything, but at least we had a backup plan, which was our QRR to feed our stock. It was always part of our plan, but we could, we could try to advance and those things. And now everything's falling right into place. So it's, that part is falling into plan. The building up of the HPQ team is starting to come into fruition. It's been a mandate that the board gave me this year to stop being just a one-man show and start having more people. Pretty soon, I hope to be able to announce some good news on the technical side. And we're seeing a lot of value. Silicone is one of those great products that's understood in the market.
And you had in one of your quotes, you said, I'm going with that confidence / FUD discussion, just extending that. Some investors will question our need to allocate about a month to the PureVap Gen 3 pilot plant reactor startup, et cetera. But they need to realize it's not like just flipping a switch. But what they don't realize is it's not as if the high purity silicon market is sitting there right now waiting for sales. So even if things seem a little slow or not as fast, to some of the investors out there, you're not really missing out on anything right now, right? You and I had a conversation. We said the things that I know about what's going on out there. So maybe you might want to shed some light on that.
Well, even if people start building up capacity, demand, and all those things, plants that will need high volume of this material that's consistent, okay, are not going to be ready to accept the material for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They're just not going to be. So we're just at the right ballpark to come in that space. But we're not limiting ourselves to just the battery materials. There's much more application because we control the entire value chain. Okay, so we let go of the quartz part of the process, but that's not the biggest issue into it, especially since our system tolerates much more impurity than anybody else. So there is, by the time it's really going to be, by the time we're ready to start building, this is where people are going to need what happens usually, okay, in the usual market, and you have to look at the overall, shitload of the market. Right now, the market is sort of like looking for a bottom. Where's the bottom? Is this a bubble going to explode? There is that, how can I say this, nervousness right now in the market.
You talk about stock market, you talk about silicon market.
I'm just talking about stock market, investors. Okay. If I had to do the financing that we've done over the years, it would be more complicated. We don't have to do financing right now. But I've been in this business long enough to know it's a phase. Okay. But behind that, okay, because of the events of this year, because of the event of the next winter in Europe, where people are going to have to freeze their butt off, okay, cutting down and all those issues, okay, there's going to be a demand for energy self-sufficient through renewable energy. And silicone material is at the middle of it. And we're the only company that's developing a new process to do it. Now, stop and think about this, and then you realize why I might be not too worried about if it's taking a bit longer up and down.
Yeah, you want to get this right, and you're not worried. There's no value in
rushing being the first guy. Look at the guys that built Canary Wharf. Okay, it wasn't the first guy that made money, right? It's sometimes you have to be patient to do it right, and we're doing it right with the right technology because we see multiple applications of that right technologies. Then we continue to develop secondary process. But I think people didn't catch on to the fact that very, very soon, okay, our pilot plant is going to be operating continuously 24/7 for a little amount of time producing material. Okay. Now, that's not enough material to generate revenues, and I don't care about that. But that's enough material for us to do very interesting R&D, very interesting business development, prospective of clients material, while at the same time we are getting all the information, or 90% of the information required for the next phase of the scaling up.
Yeah, because even if battery metals guys won't be ready for a couple of years, they're going to need to start testing and potentially locking up supply, right?
Listen, I was having a conference call this morning with a professor on battery materials, and he says the biggest issue with silicone battery materials is consistency. Batch 1 doesn't consistently go with batch 2, and the reason is very simple. The guys that are making battery material, okay, buy balance of orders from left, right, center, everywhere else. So their process might make the material uniform, but their starting ingredient is not uniform. Therefore, the end product is not uniform. That doesn't sound like a big issue, but it is a big issue.
Yep. Oh, yeah, of course.
We control that entire value chain. So once we figure out, okay, this is exactly the type of material we need to do, those are the processes we need to do, we control it from the beginning to the end. So the more I learn about the industry, okay, and the more I understand where we're sitting into it, the more I see the dynamics that are changing into it. Okay, the more I see government saying, never again will we let 90% of the industry. Like in Europe, there are a few light years, they're a few years ahead of where the US just became with the latest budget act. Okay. But what is evident is in the US is that there'll be a lot of private capital mixed with the public capital to go reach those goals. Now, when they're going to start to take a look at the entire value chain that you're required to say, we want to make sure that we have enough silicone material, high purity electronic silicone material, and they're going to realize the weak link is the first link of making the silicone material, They're going to do a Google search and figure out, oh, HPQ is the only one to do it. They're already doing those type of Google search. In Europe, they're already more advanced. They're already, thinking about this strategy, starting envisioning into it. And luckily, some of my contacts are already into those networks.
Yeah, so HPQ Silicon is in a lot of conversations. Even if you're not even there, the conversation is being had around HPQ.
And imagine once the QRR is started, we've started to produce material, then the urgency of the conversation for them, not for us, for them, is going to increase.
And that potentially, according to the press release, you're 3-ish months away, give or take 2-3 weeks on either side of that, or whatever. But
theoretically, if we're the reactor startup month, from the moment we start, process improvement, as I said, the moment we put material into it, well, we've actually put material in the machine. We just did it cold. But we know the material feeds well into the machine.
So here we are, September 7th. Are we going to see? Look, during the summer, we didn't see a lot of you, and that's because there was just a lot of work that had to be done that wasn't all that exciting to really talk about. But are we going to be seeing a lot more of you now? You mentioned something earlier about increasing the size of the team, and we know that from the schedule that in a month or so will be the reactor startup. So is it fair?
We're in reactor startup now. In a month or two, we're starting to in a month or so we're starting the testing, the improvement test, which AKA means that we're feeding stuff in the machine with the reactor turned on. Okay, and producing silicon.
So in that milestone, when that day comes and you're starting, will you be advising shareholders that, hey, we just not now we're at the improvement test phase and so on and so forth?
I will now say that we definitely see an arc at the bottom of the electrode.
All right, man. I'll leave it at that. As always, Bernard, great talk to you, man. The confidence is infectious, and from seeing some of the comments online, the overwhelming sentiment is that investors are really happy because they can see the arc at it's
the arc at the bottom of the electrode.
All right,
maybe I get that wrong, but somebody's going to come and correct me for it. But whatever, there's going to be an arc at the end in that machine.
We're going to have to create a T-shirt or hats around that. But thanks for delivering us. Listen, thanks for delivering great news right after Labor Day. I've always said investing season begins right after Labor Day. So here we are, and HPQ's hit the ground running. Can't wait to have you back, my friend.
Thank you. Can't wait to be back.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Bernard Tourillon, CEO of HPQ Silicon, trades in Canada under HPQ, in the US, HPQFF. For those new to the story, but you believe in the renewable energy revolution and all the new materials that are going to be needed, silicon especially, and seeing where HPQ is at, and you want to start your due diligence, get to the company's profile page in Agoracom, because it's a very, we know it's complicated, so we've got it broken down there in digestible, understandable bites. And then once you've got that base knowledge and you want to get your mind blown, then you head over to the HPQ Silicon website and do your deep dive due diligence. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.